Greetings gamers, I'm Shootkapow, and Pikmin 4 is finally here in all of its glory. I've made 2 Let's Play style videos over the demo back when it dropped, but I'll be tackling the full game a little differently. I want to experience this game for myself, so I'll be playing through it and recording my gameplay, then I'll write up a little script describing my thoughts on what I did, and release the edited product. That way, you get to see my experience with the game as I keep mine as organic as possible. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and skip past all the text walls and get into this game. I'll skip the Sunspeckled Terrace, though I pretty much covered all of what I did in this run in the demo videos, so check those out if you haven't already. After unlocking the second area, the Blossoming Arcadia though, the game really picked up. This is probably the single biggest area I've ever seen in a Pikmin game, blowing just about everything else out of the water. I summarized my thoughts in this tweet thread, but I'll restate some of it here. There's so much to do, and all the new and old Pikmin types, enemies, and treasures do such a good job of filling out the areas. Before we really get into Blossoming Arcadia, let me just tell you, there's so much more in these games than the past 3, probably even combined. I'm 3 or 4 hours into it, multiple playthroughs of 1 and probably a couple of 3, and maybe a full run of 2 if you're fast. And I can tell I've barely made a dent in the veritable buffet of Pikmin content. Now, the real meat of the video. On day 5, we unlock Area 2, the Blossoming Arcadia. It's a huge, sprawling area filled with grassy wooded hills and a sandy beach, separated by a strange misshapen pond. We land and already I can tell there's a lot to do. We explore to the right of our base first, encountering some downy snaggers and skitter leaves, and finding some treasures such as this paper swan and ring pop. I gotta say, I'm loving just how much there is in this game. Reminiscent of Tears of the Kingdom, everywhere you turn there's some new treasure to collect, or enemy to beat, or area to explore. It's great. Eventually, we come across another yellow onion? We take it back and are granted 20 new yellow Pikmin. Apparently, there are multiple of each onion type, which is pretty neat since it allows for more variation in which ones you find first. Nearby, we also find this cave called the Secluded Courtyard, and Olmar's notes on it talk about mimicry while picturing an innocent-looking drop of nectar. Ominous. Inside, we don't have to look far before the strange egg-looking creature pops up out of an egg. Wait, that does make sense actually. Upon closer inspection, these things don't seem too dangerous, but you can't be too careful. The cave itself is a veritable labyrinth, turning me back on myself everywhere I go. The caves are so well made in this game that I can't tell whether or not they're randomly generated, but what I can tell is that we just found blue Pikmin. More on them later. Or not. Floor 2 has some of the game's new water geysers, which sounds weird to say, but I feel like I should probably specify considering fire geysers came first. They're good enough at giving the blues something to do, but they can still be destroyed, which is a point against them, and I notice that bodies of water are just easier to traverse without the ices. You still need blues to collect treasures inside the water, but that's really about it. It's unfortunate how much the blues are shafted for the ices, but I'll leave that topic for the eventual type tier list video, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Later on in the floor, we find anode weevils, or the electric kind for those uneducated. They're still annoying to hit, even with lock-on, because of how much they move around. Maybe purples will be able to help when I get them, but only time will tell. On sub-level 3, we're ambushed by 5 desiccated skitter leaves from the ceiling, where we get our first deaths of the run. Yeah, I'm a bit pissed, but that's so Pikmin 2 core that I can't even stay mad. This is really just the ultimate Pikmin game, huh? It's pretty much everything I've ever wanted, I say, as it drops my worst favorite enemy on me out of nowhere. Eventually, we make it to the final floor, and this boss is unlike anything I've seen in the series. Is what I would say, but it's just Gulix again. Well, that's not entirely accurate. You see, this is Fulix, a species of Gulix that disguises itself in nectar and pops out, then has to have its core dragged out of its weird bubble thing to be damaged. This fight was so similar to the Gulix and Plasma Wraith that I couldn't help but get a little nostalgic. All in all, great cave, and now we have possibly the least useful Pikmin type in the game. Afterward, we come across Pikmar and Moss at the entrance to a Dandori battle, but since it's almost sunset, we're not able to challenge them. That's strange because I've gone into caves later than this in the demo, but it is what it is. That about wraps up day 5, but day 6 is a real doozy. We started off by quickly beating the Dandori battle, which, by the way, those are a lot of fun. Putting the bonus modes in the main story is a nice way to add things to do while giving you incentive to play the game in a different way. We find a new type of wall made of ice, which makes sense, and then find a completely redesigned creeping chrysanthemum. It's really interesting, but we decimated with the ices anyway to unlock a new base. Then we construct this little faucet handle. It turns this sprinkler off, which is a really cool way to remove an obstacle. We also fight this new enemy from the trailer, which seems to be some kind of blowhog. This game is honestly just so enjoyable. You finish one task and there's something else to just turn around and do. It's like classic Pikmin times 10. We fight a snagger on this plateau, but the day's nearing its end. Are we going to be able to make it to a cave before the day's end? Yes! Drafty Gallery is a blast from the past, with the very first sub-level being ripped straight from Pikmin 2 and then added onto. I love just how much inspiration they've taken from 2 with the caves in general, but this one in particular is just great. The next level has our first Candy Pop Bud though, giving us Ice Pikmin. I'll definitely be excited to see more as the playthrough progresses. Sub-level 3 is a fun change of pace, being a pretty linear one, and sub-level 4 has a boss being a puffy blowhog. Well, whatever works I guess. With that, the day's over, but day 7 holds a lot of promise. First off, Oshi can swim now, which is very convenient. We head down to the sandy area and grab some treasures, then break an electric gate to discover a new cave called Sightless Passage. Luckily, I just bought the headlamp upgrade from Russ, so this shouldn't be too bad. This sublevel, right off the bat, is a huge sprawling floor. It takes a lot of time to traverse, but we eventually make our way through to collect everything. The cave turns out to be only this one huge floor though, which is super interesting. It's a super neat concept that works, in my opinion, pretty well. When we hop out of the cave though, we find a Mamuda. We take it out easily, but it's still cool to see one of these guys again in all their fuzzy glory. After looking around, we can see that we've popped up in a different area, though still pretty close to our base. There isn't much time left in the day though, so let's see if we can find one last cave to explore before sunset. We climb a wall and stumble across another leafling, who hops into a hole. We follow them and find out we're in some sort of mission mode challenge, called a Dandori challenge in this game. We clear it easily enough, but it's clear that these aren't going to be easy in the future. Well, would you look at that. After traversing the farthest ends of the blossoming Arcadia, we find one last challenge. Right from the thumbnail, we can tell it won't be easy. This is the Kingdom of Beasts, the name right away calling back to both the Bulblax Kingdom and the Hole of Beasts, foreshadowing some pretty scary things. The cave recommends that I bring exclusively reds, but ices are just too valuable in combat to be left behind for this dungeon. Sub-level 1 doesn't have much outside of the ordinary, just some bulbwebs, fire hazards, and wild reds. On sub-level 2 though, we find a nice surprise. Rock Pikmin are back, and they're as tough as ever. They still do big damage when thrown, and we can now get past those pesky crystal walls. Sub-level 3 is a boss area, pitting us up against the classic Empress Bulblax in All for Glory. She's super easy with a few charges from OG, but she's definitely going to become much more annoying later. The cave's still going strong with sub-level 4, where it ramps up in difficulty with a couple whip tongues, but nothing much otherwise. We get through it well enough with our super combat-ready squad. We're still not done though, with sub-level 5, where Death Incarnate, well, not that quite yet, shows up. A spotty bullbear and its entourage. We take it out fairly easily, but we still lose a few Pikmin. Even the power of the ices are no match for this monster. The sub-level drops a couple more dwarf bullbears on us, but nothing too serious. I don't think we're quite to that level of Pikmin 2 just yet. Final sub-level time. What do we find here? Well, guess what? It's not one, but two Emperor Bulblaxes. But Bulblax? Bulbli? Well, however you say it, they're much harder than in 2. We don't have purples to cheese them, and they're much bulkier. We managed to get the first one down quickly, and the second one follows after we managed to freeze it, but these guys took a ton of Pikmin with them. After the fight though, we get a neat little blast from the past with the same layout of the original cave. We take out the fire geysers and grab the treasure, and then it's quitting time for the day. That's all I've got in terms of this episode's footage, but I want to quickly give my final thoughts on the game so far. With night missions and a huge exciting third area to explore in the next episode, which I've already recorded by the way, the playthrough is far from over. However, since I want to experience the rest of the game on my own, and leave the rest of it open to experience for any of you who are still on the fence of Pikmin 4, trust me, if you've tried out Pikmin 1 and 2, or maybe 3, or if you just haven't touched the series at all yet, this game is the perfect Pikmin experience. If there's anything that you'll enjoy as a new or returning Pikmin fan, it's this game. The video's not sponsored, I should make that clear, but I've been loving this game, and hopefully you guys are too. With that, I've talked about pretty much all my thoughts for now, but it's been a lot of fun. Definitely make sure to subscribe because I've got a lot of Pikmin content coming up, along with more fun Pokemon stuff, so stay tuned for that. Also like the video and comment below which Pikmin type you think is the best so far. Heck, list your top 3 since Ices are probably the top of everyone's list anyway. Join my Discord to hang out and chat, and follow me on Twitter for more goofy stuff like this. Support me on Patreon or Ko-Fi, I'll just pronounce it like that until someone corrects me. If you want, I'd appreciate it a bunch, but I've collected enough. Until next time, this is Shoot Kapow, over and out.